The Human Bullet Vest. I'm currently testing out a new kind of bulletproof vest, and as we know in the world of guns and bulletproof vests are important. The new kind of bulletproof vests are called the Human Bulletproof Vest, and I had no idea what to expect. Though, out human history, mankind has always sought out making the best kind of body shields to protect themselves from fast-moving objects, from gladiators, samurais, and knights. They all wore some kind of body protection to keep them alive from fast-moving objects. In the 21st century, it's all about protecting the body from fast-moving bullets. I went to the testing site where the Human Bulletproof Vest were being tested, and to be honest, I just prefer the old kind of bulletproof vest. What I found, though, was completely absurd and crazy, but yet it was happening. I was being paid to test these human bullet vests. And what exactly are human bullet vests? Well, instead of hard quality materials protecting you from fast-moving objects, you will actually be carrying a living human being, and this human being will wrap his or her arms and legs around you. These human bullet vests seemed to not care that they were being used as a human bullet vest. I had one guy who looked like his mind was somewhere else, and he then wrapped his arms and legs around me. He wasn't so heavy, and then someone shot a few bullets at me. But the bullets hit the human bullet vest. The human bullet vest was dead instantly, but the dead guy still had his arms and legs wrapped around me. Somehow, the more bullets this human bullet vest took, the tighter the grip this guy had around my body. It got so tight that I couldn't breathe, and they had to get a chainsaw to cut through the arms and legs of the human bullet vest. Some other testers literally passed out because the now dead human bullet vest they had around their body kept on getting tighter. I definitely prefer non-living bullet vests. Something always sings alongside me. I've been living on my own for about 10 years now, and it's a 1-bedroom apartment in a nice enough neighborhood. Being alone, I'm sure we all have that one thing we do away from the public, and my thing is singing to myself. I remember the first week that I started to sing to myself, and the lights started twitching so fast, and only when I stopped singing did the lights go back to normal. As I carried on singing, suddenly my whole apartment went dark, and a deep, dark voice started to sing alongside me. I was petrified, and it was around Christmas time, and so I was singing Christmas carols to myself. The thing with the deep, dark voice also sang alongside me, and I couldn't see anybody. I stopped singing, and a silence came over my apartment, and everything turned back on. There are also the times that I started to sing while I was in the shower, and then everything went pitch black again. But the shower was still working. I could feel a presence in the bathroom, and I was singing Chandelier by Sia at the time. The thing with the harrowing nerve-wracking voice also added its own song to what I was singing, and it seemed that it knew who Sia was. I felt so vulnerable, especially because I was naked in the bathroom with only my boxers on. Then I stopped singing, and only the showers could be heard as the water went down the drain, and the powerful presence was nerve-wracking. Everything came back on, and I got out of the shower as quickly that I tripped onto the floor. Then another time, the voice started to sing alongside me when I was cooking. I was singing Numb by Link Park while I was cooking meatball pasta. Then everything went off, apart from the cooker, and I could hear the cooker start making sounds. Then that voice started singing alongside me and adding its own lyrics. I started to sing more as experimentation, and I was also adding my own words. Then the meatball pasta I was cooking. The voice was singing through the cooking, now as if it had a meatball pasta stuffed in its mouth. I stopped singing, and everything went back to normal. I then decided to sing outside in some graveyard, as I went for a nightly lonely walk. Then I could hear voices, deep below the ground, making singing sounds. I kept on singing, and suddenly the dead started to come out of the ground to sing along with me. I was petrified, and I kept on singing, even though I was petrified. I bravely stopped singing, and the dead stopped singing alongside me. They all dropped to the ground, and I watched in terror at how much damage I had caused to the graveyard. So many people's dead loved ones were out in the graveyard, and the amount of disrespect I had caused was astounding. I kept on saying sorry, but now everyone hated me in the area for my singing. I tried to redeem myself by volunteering to help clean the graveyard and bury the dead people that came out of the graveyards to sing alongside me. It was no use, and many years went by with constant stares of hatred and judgment I got from them. I decided to rebel against the town by purposely singing in other graveyards, knowing that the dead will come out of the graves to sing along with me. I guess I wanted revenge for all of the negativity they gave towards me, for my first accident in the graveyard, and the fact that they constantly forced me to never sing made me resent them so much. I destroyed the graveyard, and I didn't care at all for what I had done, and now they definitely hated me. I was sent to prison for what I had done, and defiling a graveyard on purpose was the most utmost disrespect to the town. I was going to prison for a long time, but then someone high up in the police force had a use for me. The area I was living at had high cases of missing people, and they wanted me to sing at random streets and inside random forests. They hoped that the people that were missing would start singing alongside me, and thus stop being missing. So I started to sing on random empty streets, abandoned places and forests. I suddenly had missing people come out of whatever they were and started to sing alongside me. I could clearly see that they were not alive anymore, as they had been killed. It was clear that the area had a serial killer on the loose, which was kidnapping people and murdering them. I found so many missing people that were dead and started to sing alongside me, but ended up dead. I stopped singing. I now work for the police for a unique branch, where I sing to find missing people. My mother still expects me to remember things when I was a baby. My mother doesn't like repeating herself, and really irritates and makes her think that you're stupid if she had to repeat something over again. My mother is generally okay, and I've always gotten along with her, and at the same time, she is my mother, so there was the usual arguments between mother and child. Growing up, I never had a father, and my two older siblings were also not present when I was growing up. My two older siblings are in the old family pictures, when they are children and when I was a baby. I grew curious about my father a couple months ago, and I asked my mother about my absent father for the first time ever. As I asked her about my father, she then suddenly became angry and agitated, and she only becomes like this when you ask her something multiple times over, where she has to repeat herself. This also confuses me, because it was the first time that I was asking her about my father, but yet she was angry. She then angrily told me, "I told you about your father when you were a baby," and I was still confused. Then a couple of weeks later, I asked her about my oldest brother for the first time. Then, a couple of weeks later, I asked her about my oldest brother for the first time ever, and she became annoyed again. I never asked her about my oldest brother, but yet she was angry, as if I had asked her about it multiple times. Then she scolded me and said that she had told me about it, what happened to my oldest brother, when I was a baby. I then tried telling her that I couldn't possibly remember anything when I was a baby. She was still angry and confused. Then when I asked her about my second oldest sibling, my oldest sister, for the first time ever, and my mother, once again, still became angry, as if I had asked her about the whereabouts of my older sister multiple times. My mother started to shout at me, and she told me that she had already told me about the whereabouts of my older sister when I was a baby. She kept asking me why I kept on asking about the rest of the family when she had already told me as a baby. My mother started to call me stupid and other names, because I had asked her questions to which she had already told me when I was a baby. I tried explaining to her that babies forget things and don't understand anything. And she told me what happened to my father, older brother, and older sister. She had murdered them, and the bones still remain under the soil of a basement. Thank you all so much for listening to tonight's story. Now I'd like to take a moment to thank all of my Patreons who helped make this channel possible. Thank you, Breaker19, for all your help and support. You guys are amazing.